Now, I've been on site for a little while, having a look at various things that were concerning me, which I made a list of last night, as I lay awake in the early hours, partly because of my jet lag and partly because of my concern for what's possibly going on here. Anyway, let's just have a look at some of the things that I noticed and I've asked Suntaray about. These decorative trims here, which in the UK are made of plaster and are, how can I put it, they're fairly light. They're not exactly flimsy, but they're fairly light. Well, these pieces are actually solid concrete and they're bloody heavy, I'll tell you. That is not exactly plaster of Paris as we would use. That's mortar. I'm not sure if it's reinforced or not, but they're substantial, and I have to say that the weight of those when they're mounted up high is tremendous. And consequently, let me show you up here if I can. The way they're fixed is that they are stuck on to the ceiling and the wall with a special adhesive, apparently. I don't know what it is, but they're also drilled and plugged, as you can see from the marks, the dark marks. That's where they filled over the screw holes. So they're very, very well fixed, and they're not likely to fall down because of the way they're fixed. So even if the glue isn't particularly strong at some point, the screwing into the main wall will do its job. Now let's have a look at this roof that's been added, because this is something that's a little bit concerning to me as well. You'll see from the photographs the basic construction of it, and it's a lattice work of metal onto which the roofing material is put. Pretty standard, of course, but the issue is how it's supported, because there are no posts supporting this. The only thing that they've actually got supporting it is 3 of these arms, which I'm assured is pretty standard for what they do, and the roof won't fall down. Let's get here where the light's better. So you can see the fixings. It's rather crude, the fixing, actually. It's not particularly attractive when you consider that once a house is painted, these little bits of angle iron are going to be visible, irrespective of what colour we paint them. But they've used quite substantial steel for the main supports, and they're bolted through onto the post. So I'm just hoping that we don't have any problems in a high wind where it sort of stresses the whole structure by pushing it up and down, and then these things start to give way. But if that's the case, then that's the case, because even if they come away from the posts will be easily repairable, and we can then add 3 or 4 upright posts from the ground if necessary. So it's one of these things where I expect in time we're going to have to effect some sort of extra repairs or support. Let's go inside here, because part of my walk around this morning was to suss things out. I think the kitchen man's well on his way now to understanding what he's got to do. He's been taking a lot of measurements, checking the actual units themselves for the measurements, and not trusting the drawing measurements that have been produced by the factory that actually make these. So I think he's going to end up doing a good job, but nothing to do with him, this but. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well, because we've got no power in the house, so the lighting in each room is not very good. But this is the shower room, number 2, and the toilet. Let's get it lined up a bit better. The toilet is going to go on that back wall that you're looking at now. And I had emphasised after the toilet problems we had with the garage how the centre of that pipe had to be 30 centimetres from the finished tiled wall. Let me get my tape measure. So I thought, well, I better check this before we start tiling anything. And oh no, what have we got here? We've got the centre of the pipe 30 centimetres from the untiled wall. So we've got a similar problem now to that which we had in the garage. The tiler reckons he needs 2 to 3 centimetres to tile, so I have had to search online for an adjuster, a toilet shifter as they're called, online on Lazada. And luckily I found one that will bring the pipe forward by about 2 to 2.5 centimetres, so I've ordered one of those. But it does mean we've got to dig this floor up again like we did in the garage, dig it up around the pipe so we can cut the blue pipe off underneath the floor level and fit the extension pipe in so that it's level with where the tiles will be. So there's a bit of extra work to do there. And a bit annoying, I have to say, because I've made such a great effort to explain all this to everybody all through the build, and yet it goes wrong still. In my absence again. I keep saying this, I've said it so many times during the build, but if you're going to do it yourself, or you're going to want to check that the plans that your contractor has are being effected correctly, you do need to be on site all the time, checking almost hourly what they're doing. Right, let's just take you over here to have a look at our central island. Oh, no, it's not a central island, is it? It's a bar, because it's coming off the wall. So I've just placed a couple of tiles on top, mainly to check the sizing, to make sure that the actual blockwork is the correct size. And it is. They've done a good job, the people that did this, because there's a piece of supporting metal to come off the side there, which will give a small return for the tiling up at the front to come up. And similarly on this side there's a piece of metal to come off, which will give another return for the tiling to be done on this front face, on the legs and on the front edge there. So I'm happy with the size of that, and these are 60 by 60 tiles, and I'm very happy with the colour of that. I think that'll look like a nice worktop when it's all fitted out, and that'll be the same on the kitchen as well. So yes, those tiles jumped out at me in the shop, and I have to say so far I'm pleased with what I'm seeing, even though the lighting isn't brilliant at the moment. Now, if possible, I want to poke the camera up into the roof space and show you what's what there, because we missed the construction of the ceiling. And although I know personally how it's done, and I've seen examples of it being constructed, I'd like to see ours. So let's see if we can get up there. It's probably quite dark, so maybe I'll go and get a torch. Really got the right ladder for doing this. This step ladder is not quite the right size for me to climb inside, but oh look, hey! So we've got light on the ridge there because the light's coming in underneath the corrugated roofing, but obviously there's a cover over it to stop the rain getting in. Unless the rain actually blows upwards by about 15 centimetres, it won't get in. Now, the observant of you will know that you should be seeing insulation here now, because I said in an earlier video that we were going to have an insulated roof panel up there, and we were also going to put insulation above the ceiling. But that was before I knew how good these insulation panels on the actual roof were. And so we're going to try not having insulation here in the roof above the ceiling panels. And if it's a really hot house, then we'll put insulation up here later. That should be quite simple to do. As you can see, there's a bit of a gap between the sort of ring beam, if you like, the main frame of the roof and the ceiling, and that will allow the insulation to be rolled underneath or placed underneath. And we've had the hatch made deliberately next to a beam, so we can climb up and actually get onto the beam itself and move around, although it will be very limited because there are no cross beams, so there's huge amounts of space between them, as you can see. You can see the electric there. That one will be for the shower, or the showers, because they share a party wall, so they've run two lots of wires down one pipe, so that's good. So the electrics are looking very neat. Everything's in a pipe which will protect it from bugs and what have you, and there are boxes where they've got joints. There are some wires lying around on the top there. I think they're ready for when the electrician comes back to fit the ceiling lights. That load of wires, pipes rather, there in the distance will be the ones going down to the fuse box. So everything will be going down those. Oh my God, who's that? God, I thought there was a snake tickling my leg or something then. Nearly fell off the ladder. Oh. There you can see where the mains comes in through the air vent window thing at the end there. Yeah, it looks very neat up here. So the way they do this suspended ceiling is they hang wires from the main roof supports, and they support the framework, which you can see in there. And it's proper plasterboard that's used, so it's quite heavy, and it's screwed through into these frames. And you can see along the edge they've fixed angle irons, thin, admittedly, thin angle irons, which support the frame and also the plasterboard. Yeah, so there you go, that's our roof space. And that's the top of our ceilings. It's a bit crude, isn't it, the way they've cut the ends. Look, they're very, very rough. But it works and it's strong. It is strong. They've used this system for a number of years now, so. Right, let's go down. Oh, let's just see, did they take those spiders away? We had a couple of big spiders hanging down here. I can see the web there. I'm just shining my light at the web. I don't suppose you can see it on the camera. And there's a web there. And they were extremely strong. I was up here one day before they put the ceiling panels on. And the webs were like fishing line. But I can't see the spiders. There are no spiders hanging down, so it looks like the two spiders that were here have been removed, which is probably a good thing. Right. That's it. Ooh. Yeah, so he's tiling inside the cupboard spaces now. So it's all a bit slow because it's the detail now, and then all of a sudden he'll be putting a top on and casting it and filling in the front with blocks.